Now what we want to do next with our SASS file is split these up into individual files, and we'll talk more about that in a moment and its implications. But before we do that, let's take a look at our file structure right now for our project and clean it up a bit. So I'll go back to the File Explorer. Now so far we've had a flat file structure, that is we're not using folders at all, but at this point it would make sense to start using some separation, especially as we begin to add more SASS and CSS files. So let's start from the top and work our way down and figure out what we can move into folders. So our bower.json file is something that we should keep at the root directory of our project, so we'll leave that there. iconboxcomponent.png is an example of a partial design screenshot that we're using as a reference when we create our template. And I think these can be moved into their own folder. So I'll create a new folder and we'll call it Design Screenshots. And we'll just highlight all of the screenshots that we've used so far. Many of these are ones that we probably won't be using again, but we'll just go ahead and move them all in there anyway. Okay. Our index.html file we want to keep in the root directory. Our normalize.css is legacy. We are now using a component to download our normalize.css, so this we can safely delete. And now we need folders for our CSS and for our SASS. Let's keep it simple and call these folders SASS and CSS. And now let's move our styles.scss file here. And when we do that, it's going to automatically delete the CSS file because we're watching it from the command line. Now that we have folders for our SASS and CSS, we'll use a different watch command. So if we go back to the command line, we can see that the styles.css and also our map here, which we haven't talked about, but we will soon, have been removed. So we're going to use a different command now in order to watch an entire folder and output the results to another folder that mirrors that original folder's structure. So to stop this from running, I'm going to type Control-C or Command-C, and that will stop this script. And so before, we used this command, sass watch styles.scss to styles.css. And now what we're going to do is change this to two folders. We'll do sass, and then we'll do CSS. And we'll hit enter. Oops. Okay, and so you can see now that our styles.css is being rendered in our CSS folder. And we can verify that by going back to our File Explorer, and we can see it now in our CSS folder. So at this point, the SASS files inside of this folder will be recursively watched. That is, that we can put SASS files inside of folders within this folder, and that entire structure will be mirrored in this folder here.